Fala galera, Charles Oliveira. I can't speak Portuguese. Um, Hi, it's me. It's Ceiling MMA, and I'm gonna be predicting this card. I mean, I don't know what that was. Little notification on the computer. I am worried here. I won't lie for this fight for this card. There's some of my favorite fighters on this card, even though it's kind of mid overall. The main card's pretty good. But I am excited. I'm gonna be watching this live. And let's just get into it. Let's just get into it. At the beginning, and I've done some research for this card. We have Loan Lacerda versus Simon Oliveira. You see what I mean? Like we've got two fighters who have either of them even won in the UFC? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Simon Oliveira got smoked in a round by David Martinez, and he's lost to quite a few people. Loan Lacerda lost to Damon Blackshear and was it Cody Stammen? I think that, or was it Cody someone else? I think it was that Cody. Um, but I think Simon Oliveira might be like one of the worst bantamweights in the UFC. And so is Luan Lacerda, but I think Simon Oliveira is like a level below. So for this kind of fight, I'm just gonna go with like a gut feeling and say Luan Lacerda. Julia Plastri versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Julia Plastri is she's pretty hot, you know. I mean, if you look at her over here, she's kind of bad. She lost to Lupi Godinez, but Lupi Godinez is good. She beat this McKenna girl. She lost to Josephine Knutson, but Knutson is decent. Um, I kind of rate Julia Palastri. I also think she probably is a psychopath. I mean, look at those eyes. Like, I feel like she wants to kill me. Now, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, I might have picked her in her prime. She used to be pretty good, but she's kind of old now. I don't know how old she is, but she's kind of old. I don't think she's that great anymore, so I'm going to go with Julia Palastri. This is the first fight I'm actually worried about. And let me tell you something, lads. Let me tell you something. Walter Walker is going to submit Muhammad Usman with a heel hook easily in the first round. Muhammad Usman is a heavyweight NPC. I know he's Kamaru Usman's brother, but all this guy does is jab and tap strikes and just has heavyweight blob fests. You know, this guy's lost in unranked heavyweight division, man. I know Walter Walker lost to Lucas Bursky, but he's improved a lot since then. He's heel hooked 3 straight opponents. He beat Kennedy Nzechukwu. Kennedy Nzechukwu, I think, would knock out Muhammad Usman easily, right? And this is the thing with heavyweights, right? If you look up Muhammad Usman, I mean, did this fight get overturned because Hamdi was on steroids? Maybe, I don't know. Losing to Thomas Peterson, losing to Mick Parkin isn't a bad loss. Beat Collier, okay. Beat one of the is that Justin or Junior? I'm pretty sure that's Justin. And beat Zach Pauga, whatever. You know, you guys think I care? This guy's beating blobs. Who cares, right? Walter Walker. I mean, this is the thing with heavyweight. It's like, especially with unranked heavyweight, it's like, how do we decide fights? It's the guy who actually has something good about their style. You know, Walter Walker is a specialist when it comes to jiu-jitsu and heel hooks, and he can get that, and he's proven that 3 times in a row. So he's gonna make this a 4th heel hook. We are submitting Muhammad Usman in the first round, and then we are hopefully getting a jump up in the rankings because Muhammad Usman is literally on a 2-fight losing streak, or maybe not. I don't know what happened with the Hamdi fight. Did he win? Maybe, I don't know. Muhammad Usman is not good and does not deserve to be fighting a ranked Walter Walker. Walter Walker deserves a jump up, especially after beating Kennedy. Anyways, moving on, Lucas Rocha versus Stuart Nickel. Now, Lucas Rocha is just undersized for flyweight, man. I mean, he's short and he's skinny as fuck, and he doesn't really have like at least Joshua Van has some like speed. Like Joshua Van's pretty undersized for flyweight, but he's very fast and he's explosive and he actually has power. Lucas Rocha doesn't really have that. Stuart Nickel, I know he lost, I believe, by 1st round guillotine to Jesus Aguilar, or it was some sort of sub. I think it was a guillotine. I don't know, my memory is hazy, but Jesus Aguilar's good. I actually rate him. He did just win as well. I don't know about just what he won recently, I'm pretty sure. And I actually rate Stuart Nickel. I'm pretty sure he's a good regional scene guy. The Australian regional scene itself is actually quite good. Usually you can trust guys who come from there to be decent. And all of his wins but one are by finish as well. So I rate Stuart Nickel, and I think he'll get this one done. Bia Mesquita versus Irina Alekseeva. Irina Alekseeva she's actually ditched the curls that she used to have in favor of a Macy Chiasson level. Not really as good as Macy Chiasson's skin fade, but a similar style. Um, she used to have these like a perm kind of, and she I kind of just mistook her, like she looked a bit like the 6'7" kid if he dyed his hair brown. And I kept mistaking her for like a 12-year-old boy. And she's fighting Bia Mosquita, who's undefeated. Uh, you know what? I'm not even gonna look too much into this. I mean, she's also invisible, which is pretty crazy. Uh, but she's decent. She's decent. She's undefeated. I think she trains at ATT as well. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go with Bia Mosquita, the prospect. I just don't think Arena Alexieva is very good. Uh, they're probably both bad to be fair, but I'm gonna say Bia Mosquita. Decision. Vitor Petrino and Thomas Peterson. Now Vitor Petrino, you know, he had some issues at light heavyweight. Obviously, getting subbed by Anthony Smith, not a good look. Losing to Anthony Smith in I think it was 2024. Gets knocked out by Jacoby. Now Jacoby's pretty good. He's underrated, but getting colded by Jacoby. Okay, moves up to heavyweight. He did win his last fight, and I'm pretty sure I picked him to win. I think he beat Super Bilal, Austin Lane, and now he's fighting Thomas Peterson. I mean, what? Thomas Peterson's fat. He beats other blobs, and he lost to Shamil Gaziev, but he beat Muhammad Usman, which is kind of funny, and he lost to Jamal Pogues. I'm going with lighter man skill. I mean, look at the difference in physique as well. Hold on, this is just gonna, yeah. Vitor Petrino's ripped. Look at the difference here. Fat, ripped. I love the tattoo from Thomas Peterson, but I don't think he's winning. I think Petrino can beat him on the feet, and I also think he's actually a very good grappler for heavyweight, and I think he can beat him, and he's gonna be able to beat these unranked heavyweights pretty easily. So I'm going with Vitor Petrino by like a TKO. Rafael Filho versus Clayton Carpenter. Now Clayton Carpenter's an interesting one. What do I think of him? He's okay. He's kind of just like your typical. For me, he seems like an American college wrestler. You know, he went, or maybe high school. I don't know. He doesn't. He's like an American wrestler. He went through the system. He did all that stuff. Lost to Tagir. Not a bad loss, I guess. Rafael Filho, I actually rate him quite highly. He's lost to Makayev and Nascimento. Nascimento's good. I rate him as well. And Makayev, I believe Nascimento actually took Tagir to a split decision. I might be wrong. And in terms of the Makayev fight, he had like quite a few close submission attempts on Mohamed Makayev, which is very impressive in hindsight. So I'm going to go with Rafael Filho by decision. I think he'll do more. I think he'll just throw up submissions and stuff. Maybe even sub Clayton Carpenter, I could see it, but just threaten submissions. I just don't think Clayton Carpenter is very good. He's just kind of mid. So I'm going to say Rafael Filho wins this by decision based on like almost getting submissions, maybe reversing sometimes. The main card, this is not a good main card. Why is Volta Walker, like Volta Walker should be above these two fights, surely. Who else could be on here? That's what I would say. I would say maybe get this fight, the two heavyweight fights on the prelims, and put them above here because we kind of care a bit more about those. But maybe they didn't want to get 3 heavyweight fights on the main card. I don't know what the mindset is here. Lucas Almeida versus Michael Aswell. Michael Aswell, what did he do? I mean, I know I'll get into Lucas Almeida first. He went to a close decision with Danny Silva. Now he missed weight for the fight, and that was kind of obvious because the reason that the fight was close is because we got to the 3rd round. That Danny Silva's kind of tired, whereas Lucas Almeida, who missed weight, wouldn't have had to cut as much, bit more durable, bit more cardio in him. So Lucas Almeida, it was competitive, and Danny Silva just gave Kevin Vallejo's problems. Danny Silva's my boy; he's very good. I think he's definitely a tough challenge for anyone, and he's going to be good in the division. So I was impressed by Lucas Almeida there, whereas Michael Aswell Jr. Lost to Bellagio. He hasn't fought outside? Yeah, just lost to Bellagioki, who's just kind of mid. Bellagioki's there. He just got finished by Mason Jones. He's not great. And you clearly lost to him. Lucas Almeida, close with Danny Silva. Okay, lost to Philly, but Andre Philly's good. beat Timothy Kwamba, who I actually kind of rate. He just knocked out the guy who almost finished Onama, Romero. I don't think thingy, is he Thomas or Lucas Almeida? I don't think Lucas Almeida's losses are actually that bad. Sabatini's good as well. He just beat Brito. So I'm going to go Lucas Almeida by decision. Ricardo Ramos and Khan Offley. Ricardo Ramos should be like 0-4, 0-5 in the UFC. He's lost like every fight, and then he had a win over Josh Coulibaly. I think that was who it was at least. But like it pretty obviously should have gone to Coulibaly, but that's just how it is sometimes. Khan Offley is also only lost. He got knocked out by Myron Santos. Myron Santos is powerful and he's good. You know, even if he hasn't been looking that great lately, he is good. And who else did he lose to? He lost a pretty competitive fight with Naimov, who I rate. He's quite well rounded. So I'm actually gonna go Khan Offley. He's got pretty good grappling. He did pretty well on the Ultimate Fighter. I think he can do a bit more than Ramos. Honestly, neither of these fighters should be in the UFC, but I'll go with Khan Offley decision. Janata Deniz, Mario Pinto. Mario Pinto is meant to be this big prospect at heavyweight. These two are both strikers. Janata Deniz, he was a prospect, but he got fraud checked on the ground by Tabora. I don't see Mario Pinto taking this guy down and ragdolling him. He's a striker. He knocked out Austin Lane, but before that, he actually got dropped by Austin Lane in the first round. Austin Lane had him in some trouble. He was winning the fight. And then Mario Pinto was able to catch him and put him away. He just doesn't look that technical. He looks messy. Whereas Janata Deniz looks pretty technical on the feet. Former Glory kickboxer. Good power, good technique. When he fought Austin Lane, he got taken down, but he was schooling him the whole time on the feet. Whereas Mario Pinto, that was where he was having his issues. So I'm gonna, and I know this guy was competitive with Alvin Hines, but Alvin Hines I'm pretty sure was undefeated. He's pretty shredded, and also I think he tested positive as well. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he tested positive. So I actually rate Janata Deniz quite highly, and I'm gonna say he knocks out Mario Pinto with like a counter shot. Third fight down the card. Why none of the odds here, by the way? I'm actually curious to know what they are. Whatever though. Vicente Luque versus Joel Alvarez. Joel Alvarez is moving up to welterweight officially, so he's gonna have some lighter man skill. Joel Alvarez was just very, very good at lightweight, and one thing I like about Joel Alvarez is he's so like crafty. Like he's not a crafty vet, but he's crafty, in the sense that like he will finish you from like weird positions just because it works. If you look at the Brenner fight. He gets him in the clinch, and instead of like trying to do anything crazy, trying to separate to land combat, he just goes knee, knee, knee. Brenner's not doing anything to defend it. Knee, knee, knee. Just keeps going. The close fight, rushes him, has him in a guillotine. You know, some people might jump a guillotine there. Some people might use it to get top position on the ground. Some people might separate. Joel Alvarez just holds him there and just fucking hammer fists him, and gets the finish. Like. I really rate Joel Alvarez. I think he probably would have knocked out BSD. I know people are glazing BSD now. But I think Joel Alvarez probably would have beat him. Look, Mark Jacasey's a good win too. I rate Mark Jacasey. Lost to Arman. Aged well. And apart from that, easily knocks out Moises and beats whoever the fuck this is. Like, he's very, very good as Joel Alvarez. And I think he's going to be a problem in whatever division he decides to be in. Luque's past his prime, just lost to Kevin Holland, took some damage there, you know, got elbowed, had some like hematoma on his head. I just don't think this is prime Luque, and even a prime Luque was like competitive with a lot of guys, and he was getting hurt by a lot of guys who maybe aren't insanely good. He was just a scrapper, and I love Vicente Luque, but Joel Alvarez is sick, and I think he's gonna knock out Luque in round 1, so that's what I'm going to go with. Davison Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. This is another one that my mental state might depend on this fight and the main event, okay? Because I'm a very big Figueiredo fan. I think it's hard not to be. But man, he is washed. Like I'm just going to say how it is. He looked great in the Yan fight, I thought. He looked great in his bantamweight run up until the Sanhagen fight, where for some reason, I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to take damage anymore. I don't know what it is. He spammed heel hooks or leg locks or whatever they were, kept putting himself on bottom position, even after taking Sandhagen down. I predicted him to win, by the way. That was not my best prediction, but in theory, he started off like getting the single leg, getting Sandhagen down. The Figgy in the Yan fight, or the Figgy in literally any other fight, is going to try and get to the back. He's going to try and get control, hunt a submission that isn't going to put him at a disadvantage. This one was just like, okay, I'm just going to go for heel hooks. And eventually, that didn't work. He blows out his knee, and Sandhagen TKOs him. Montel Jackson is pretty good. He beat Daniel Marcos. It was a shit fight, kind of boring, kind of close, kind of. And he knocked out Blackshear, which is pretty good. Let's have a look at his other wins. I mean, no one insanely good here. I don't know, because he's not that much of a finisher. I know he knocked out Blackshear, but everyone has something like that occasionally. Whereas Figgy, I'm worried this is going to be like a Gilbert Burns versus Morales, where a guy who isn't even insanely good gets into like near the top 5 because they're fighting an older guy who's lost it but just hasn't fought like the guys who are going to get them out of the top 10 yet. That's what I'm worried about, but I'm actually going to go Figueiredo, man. I think he does more, and I think he'll be more confident on the feet here because it's Montel Jackson. Like, at least Sandhagen had some like aura. Sandhagen's like he's an established contender. Montel Jackson's this like ranked 15 guy. Figgy's in Brazil. He's going to be landing the big shots. Even on the ground, please Figgy, please just go for the back or something. Go for ground and pound. But channel prime Figgy, man. I'm praying Figgy wins, and I'm gonna go with him. I wouldn't be surprised if Montel Jackson wins this, but I'm gonna go Figueiredo. Prime Figgy, even the Figgy that fought Yan is destroying Montel Jackson, but he just looked awful against Sandhagen. But I'm gonna go with Figueiredo to win this. The main event. Dubronx, my favourite fighter of all time, versus Gamrot. We used to call this guy Gamrot, man. He's been getting some glazers. You know, the Polish fans are always going to be there. The guys, the contrarians who love to glaze fighters with less than entertaining styles are going to be there. The people like me who, I'm kind of a fan of Gamrot because I can genuinely appreciate the fact that this guy is always willing to take a fight. Short notice, wherever, whenever. We're meant to be two. You know what I mean? No? Like, he's always taking fights, and I rate it from Gamrot. I'm worried for Charles. I am. Gamrot's a good wrestler. Charles definitely ran into that issue against Arman Tsarukyan, who was able to hold him down. And Charles is sometimes a bit too complacent on his back, a bit too inactive. Charles is coming back not long after getting knocked out badly by Ilya. This feels like it was rushed. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of glad it's not Fiziev, because I feel like if Gamrot beats him, it's going to be a decision, whereas if Fiziev beats him, it'll be like a flat line. I still think I would have picked him to beat Fiziev. This isn't delusional. I know I picked him to beat Ilya, and that was not. And I'll admit I picked him to beat Ilya because I was trying to be delusional. I was thinking like, okay, if I'm delusional, maybe it'll actually happen. You know, I had hope, and that hope was put out. But so that wasn't my best prediction. But here, fuck it, I'm still going with Charles Oliveira to win. I don't care. You tell me what you want. He's a wrestler. That's all you guys say. That's all anyone says. He's a wrestler, and he out-wrestled Arman. He did. However, you guys want to know something else about Mateusz Gamrot? He gets rocked in almost every fight. You know, he even got rocked against Klein, or like stunned against Ludovic Klein, who's pretty good. But is he Charles Oliveira on the feet? Dan Hooker's pretty good. We don't really know. Is Dan Hooker Charles Oliveira on the feet? I don't think so. I don't think he's as powerful. I don't think he's as diverse as Charles Oliveira on the feet. This guy got his shit rocked by Jalen Turner. Almost finished. Old ass RDA. Almost finished you. Do you know what the difference between those guys and Charles Oliveira is? Even Arman Tsarukyan. You can panic shoot against those guys, and the most they're going to do is stuff it. Okay? They ain't latching up the... And Dan Hooker almost had this guy in some guillotines. But those guys aren't latching up the guillotine like Charles Oliveira is when you're rocked. When Charles rocks you and you panic shoot, he's jumping on that submission. And I don't see Gamrot. I don't see that not happening to Gamrot, because he will chill on the feet for a bit. It's not like he immediately shoots. And he's taking this fight on pretty short notice. I know he's been training, so I'm expecting a good version of Gamrot. But I'm also expecting a version of Gamrot who maybe has worse cardio than usual. Maybe won't keep up as high of a wrestling pace. He's not even that high pace of a wrestler. He's just very good at it. And I know I said I think this guy's the second best wrestler in the UFC right now in a video I made before, and I'll stick to that. But as I said, he's getting rocked all the time on the feet against guys who you can panic shoot against because they don't have the submission game of Charles Oliveira. So I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira by a round 2 guillotine submission. I'm calling it. Could be round 3. Could even be round 1. You never know. I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira. I mean, in the Arman fight, there were so many submission attempts he almost had. You know? Even against Ilya, there was the heel hook. I actually don't want to remember that fight. But even in the Arman fight, you know, Arman got saved in the first round by his shorts slipping down. Charles almost had him in the second in I think it was a triangle. And then there was another submission in the third that Charles almost had him in. And Arman kind of got saved by the bell. And his face was going red and it looked like it was in. So, I'm going with Charles Oliveira. I'm very hopeful. And this is in Brazil. You know, that can help. It could help. It could help. Charles Oliveira by submission in the second. Let's hope it wins, lads. We need to pray for Charles Oliveira. Guys, I want your prayers, you know. Thank you for watching.